Hi, I'm Michael with Urban Treehouse. Most people know that buying a fuel-efficient car or driving less can help reduce their impact on the earth. But most people don't know that with the car you have right now, you can make a huge difference and you don't have to drive any less. Today I'm going to be giving you 5 driving tips that can help you save gas, save money, and help save the environment. The first tip is start driving right away. Most people think that they need to warm up their car for 5 minutes, 10 minutes before they start driving. That's not the case with modern cars. You can just start driving right away. You're not doing yourself any favors sitting in your garage for 5 minutes while your car warms up. The next tip is use engine braking. Now, if you have a manual, you can downshift, obviously, to engine brake. If you're in an automatic, most people just use the brakes. They just hit the brakes, and that's the end of it. But there's actually a couple of ways you can brake in an automatic car without using your brakes. The first is just letting off of the gas. That's going to naturally slow the car down because it's still in gear. The second way is to use your overdrive off switch. It's normally located on the shifter. Now when you click that, you're going to notice that your car is going to slow down a little bit. It's typically used for towing or going down steep grades, but you can use it just to slow down on the freeway if you want to. The next tip is don't bother driving quickly. I see people driving at 75, 80 miles an hour, weaving in and out of traffic to try to get to work really fast during their commute. And it makes me laugh because, to give you an idea of how ridiculous that is, say your commute is 30 miles, and on one day you decide to drive 65 miles an hour the entire time, and another day you decide to drive 75 miles an hour. Well, that day that you drove 75 miles an hour, you're only going to get there 3.5 minutes faster. Is that really worth it? Most people know that driving right behind the car in front of you is dangerous, but there's a lot more to it than that. With so many automatic cars on the road and people not shifting gears to change speed, it's all about gas, brake, gas, brake, gas, brake. And because of that, people follow closely behind and they're constantly hitting their brakes. And you can see it here in Southern California. There's brake lights everywhere. Have you ever been in traffic and you're waiting and you're waiting and you're waiting, and you think, oh, there must be a huge accident up ahead or, you know, some major bottleneck, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it just completely disappears? It actually happens more often than you think. And the reason is these waves of brake lights. When people use their brakes prematurely because they're following way too closely, and that causes the person behind them to use their brake lights, and so on and so on and so on. And because there's a little bit of reaction time in there, it adds up, and then eventually someone, 10, 15 cars behind or maybe a quarter mile behind has to stop completely, even though there was no reason to completely stop in the first place. To give you an idea of how leaving space in front of you can increase your mileage, I've been sitting in traffic here for maybe 5-10 minutes, and my average so far for this trip has been 30 miles to the gallon. Now that's pretty good. I'm very light on the gas, and I almost never use the brakes. The reason why I don't have to use the brakes is because there's nobody in front of me. I leave a big space. One of the biggest reasons for backups is when a couple of lanes are merging together, like right here, where 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lanes are merging down to 4. Look at this guy. He can't wait. He's got to get forward another couple car lengths. And that's the problem right there. All right, we're about 2/3 of the way there. Let's see what we're doing gas mileage-wise. Not bad. Next tip, when you're stopped, turn off your car. Now this doesn't mean you have to stop your car all the time and turn it off. It just means that if you're at a stoplight that you are on every single commute and you know it takes forever, turn your car off. Or if you're in the drive-through lane, you're sitting and waiting, turn it off. You'd be surprised how fast your average gas mileage goes down when you're stopped and just idling. The next tip is back into a parking space, rather than pulling in nose first. Now the reason for this is, when you arrive at your destination, the car's already warm, and you can make little adjustments like this without spending a bunch of gas on a cold engine. That way, when you're ready to leave, you can just drive straight out. Uses way less gas than backing up and then going forward, making that gear change. All right, well that's it. I hope these tips helped, and check us out next time on urbantreehouse.tv. Thanks so much for watching.